again with Nico and his dad, Markus. Welcome back, and glad that you made it too this time. Nice to meet you. So let's talk about what happened since last year, last Gamescom.
What happened? Well, Markus, do you want to start about new building types that we've introduced?
Yes. The thing of Highrisers is that you can jump from one skyscraper to another skyscraper, and so we will build as much skyscrapers as possible. So we build some new concrete buildings, we build brick buildings, and we build so-called Mondrian building. I don't know if you know what Mondrian is. Mondrian is a crystal art artist, and he builds special pictures with special kind of colors, and we built these colors in a skyscraper. And another big thing was the furniture groups.
Yeah. Furniture is required for our procedural generation. So last year in the demo we saw one nicely built skyscraper, but it was handmade by me and it took lots of time. So when we want to go to the endless mode of Highrisers, which is the actual goal, then we need procedural generations. And this not only implements the buildings that Markus was building, but also, and even more so, the furniture, because furniture is what the player interacts with. And when we say furniture, we also mean all kinds of objects that you find. So it's not just a refrigerator, but also the food in there. So all interactive objects must be placed somewhere in the building. And there we are in a bit of a triangle of requirements, because first requirement is it should be as random as possible, because we don't want the player to see all the stuff again and again. We want them not to recognize them. They should always feel new and fresh. Then the second aspect of the triangle is it should look aesthetically pleasant. So our first tries with just randomized content was we counted the slots, and it was like, okay, it's 10 slots, a washing machine takes 3 slots, so let's place 3 washing machines, and there's enough space for a fire extinguisher. But that's not really how you would place furniture. So those are a bit clashing. And the third aspect is furniture and objects, they represent game mechanical value. So if you have a table or a shelf or something, in game terms, that's worth building materials. So you can deconstruct it, disassemble it for wood and screws, for example. And the amount of objects in each building must be within a certain range. So you say, we want at least that much wood, but not more than that wood. And in this range, we must be present. So different building types can obviously provide different values. So if you have a brick building which houses factories, then we have more machinery and more parts and maybe less food. But in a building that contains a tri-wall look with apartments, then we say, okay, there's nearly no machinery, but we expect lots of food. So, and in this triangle, the procedural generation of the furniture placement takes place. And the problem with the disparity between the first two, we solve by the furniture groups that Markus mentioned. We have an editor, there you can assemble, arrange all kinds of furniture into aesthetically pleasant groups. Like, for example, we say, okay, we make something like a living room. We make a table, and then we arrange chairs, and then there's randomly spawning a bottle of water or some books or something on the table. And that group, that looks good, and this is the unit that the procedural generator will take as input and say, okay, I'll place this somewhere, and then it looks nice, and we don't get the 7 washing machines in one row. So obviously, and that's where we currently are. And with this editor, we can build those groups very easily, very fast. So our first tries where we had 20 groups, you could still recognize them in the building with 35 floors. I've seen that again and that again. But once you have 300 groups, it will not happen basically. And then you have the singular variation within the group. Like if you say we have a table and 4 chairs, that will always be the same. But sometimes a chair will be toppled over, and sometimes on the table there will be glasses and some food left, and sometimes there will be paper strewn or a laptop standing. And what we also need to invest is a bit of smart tagging. That's not yet there. So basically, if he finds a space, he puts it in. So you can find a pile of garbage next to a cafeteria. And obviously that's not how it should work, but that's pretty easy actually. You tag them with certain flags, like this is cafeteria area, and then he selects of all furniture groups that are fitting to a cafeteria. And the third aspect that we talked about, the game mechanical worth. Thereby we furnish the building. We go through all floors, place the furniture in there, and then we analyze how much wood do we have, how much food, how much water, how much fuel, all the target goals that we have. And if we are too high or too low, then we change the furniture. Either we delete whole groups and let the randomizer put something new in, or we just say, okay, let's delete single objects. If we have too much food, then we can cycle through all the refrigerators and remove the food. So when we discussed it with the broker, we sent either a small demon or a small fairy through the building, and they will either distribute goodies or take them away, so that we're within the parameters. Yeah, that's one of the main things that happened under the hood, and that will bring us closer to what we wanna go with for the endless mode. And we are actually pretty satisfied with it. So now if you look at it, it's nearly as nice as the building we made by hand. Not totally, because handcrafted stuff mostly it beats procedurally generated things. But we want to focus on the general floors. They should just look good enough, and then we make some special floors which we still handcraft. So each building may contain
But
one.
I think we will solve this problem. I think our procedural generation would be as good as handmade. This is the goal, and I think we can do it.
Thanks to artificial intelligence.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I think we can prepare it with a furniture generator editor, and if you put there a lot of brain in it, I think you will nearly get it. So
Yeah.
I think we will do it.
You are more the optimistical part, and you are
Yes.
more the skeptical one. Good cop, bad cop. Yeah.
That's basically how every successful team runs. It needs a different. But so mostly we get along quite well in our collaboration, because many people are, you're working with the dead. Oh, that's cool. But isn't that kind of tough? I imagine if I'm working with that. So I think 95% of the time it works pretty well, and 5% of the time, well.
Nico wants the furniture very trashy. Old furniture, you think you will find it at the floor, at the street. And I want it clean. I want that the buildings, that the design is clean. Yes, that you think it's a design thing, an architectural thing, and he said, hey, think at the player. He wanted.
It's zombie survival. It needs to be dark and pretty, and it's a crafting game. You need lots of stuff there. So we come from different perspective. He's from the architectural view, and I'm more from a gameplay view.
Zombie survival with a touch of Minecraft.
You could say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any plans of just like opening this tool also to the community? Because for me it sounds just like having a potential for
Building your own levels, your own buildings.
That's a really good idea. I gotta admit, I haven't thought of it yet. We were not so much into tool building, but actually it's pretty obvious. Yep. That's a good idea. Yeah, we might want to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too close on it to consider this, because
Actually, I've never thought of that. Like we're not going into this level editor thing that they could put down. Sure, why not?
Before we have to end, I would like to know, as I remember, Nico told us last year, you never did a game before. So how is it for you? Because many people will say it's a culture clash. People of your generation often thought that gaming is a waste of time and not really a worthwhile business model.
Yes.
Especially since you are solar powered and
You're talking to decent Terran StarCraft players, or
but I can say one thing to this. It was much more seriously work to get a good play as I thought before. I thought they are do a little bit paint and a little
here in the
pixel
beginning,
and running around and shoot a little bit. You make it in 2 weeks, and so we are working 4 years, and so I know we have to put a lot of work in it, and I saw it. It's serious work. It's the same thing as if you want to make a real building. You must really think how does it look, how is the concrete, is it perfect, what about the artwork? The first sketches are some sketches, and then we tried. You see, it was a lot of work to come to this. Yeah. And so I think
it was really helpful that you actually joined and did the real work and not just looked at it from the outside.
Yes.
Because the outside was it's just gaming. Why aren't you finished in the first 2 weeks? And then once you started building working your own buildings, actually it's pretty tricky.
And the other thing is, I think to make something like this, you need this. You need a lot of money and a lot of standing to have the breath to finish it. And now I'm very happy that we have a good publisher. It was not easy to find it. He can take everybody. There are thousands of video games, and but he chose us and said, "Hey, Highrisers is okay, and we believe to you." And so it was a big step to us, and a Bestätigung, that it works. And so I'm
Confirmation.
now I'm happy.
Yeah.
Confirmation, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
Thank you.
Right, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks.